A 1, 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. I hope you're having a wonderful week. And this is going to be the second episode in my little story series. I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the failures, some of the stories, some of the interesting experiences I've had in my career up to this point. But again, last week we talked about the final death of my Nikon, or the last episode, should I say. It may not be next week, because I haven't decided how I'm going to release these yet, because I'm recording them back to back, hence the same clothes. But yeah, so we talked about, in the last episode of this series, or mini-series, we talked about the death of my Nikon 5600, which I thought was interesting, an interesting experience nonetheless to have. But I want to wind the clock back to the first time when I actually water damaged this camera, and talk a little bit about that process, and also give you guys some tips or tricks that you may run into needing in the future. Now, I just want to premise this with saying, this camera is not weather sealed. I was very gung-ho, and I would not recommend anyone who specifically overly cares about their gear, as you should, to do what I'm now going to tell you what I did. And I will also, if I can find any footage or rip any footage from previous older videos, show you the kind of rain that we're talking about. But some of the issues you're going to run into when it comes to rain is, firstly, can your body itself, so the actual camera body itself, actually handle. I would recommend you never do what I just did, by the way, to your camera, because you will get disgustingness on your sensor and possibly ruin the sensor entirety. But that's a dead sensor anyway. So moving back to the story. So I, back in 2018, was hired across the, I want to say, August bank holiday to film an event for a client known as Liftoff. Those of you who've been following me from then will remember it. I'll leave a link to the highlight video. It's terrible, but I'll link you to the link to the highlight video just up here if you're interested as well to see that. And during that, it was a weekend of festivities where there was theatre performances, there was dancing, there was fireworks. It was very exciting, very fun, and it was to the inaugural weekend of Wucha Creative becoming Wucha Creative, and I was luckily enough to be invited down as press. I still have the press pass somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, so I just go about, you know, going down to film it. First night, you know, pretty good. Friday night, had some music, had some fireworks, everyone had a good time, had some food, it was great, and yeah, so wasn't too rainy, wasn't too bad. Got to, I think, day 2 or day 3, this was the Saturday or the Sunday, absolutely tipped it down with rain. Absolute tip down with rain, you know, crazy amounts of rain. I want to say, you know, it went on from obviously the Friday to the Monday, with it being the bank holiday, so I was able to capture some during beautiful weather and others during terrible weather. But from my understanding, I believe it was the Saturday, if memory serves me correctly, that terrible weather happened, and I was determined to push through, determined to continue to film. So there was a outside theatre event that happened all the way across Salisbury, and this was, I believe, put on by Tanglefoot Productions or Tanglefoot LLC or something like that, something of those lines. And it was a Pacific Army themed part of the event, and it was all about sort of a visual experience and also audio experience, and was really well done personally. And it was about these two guys who, you know, one was going to join the army. I think one was, you know, specifically really questioning whether he should or shouldn't, and was kind of in denial. And it was all around Salisbury, and sort of takes you on this journey all the way through the city centre and that kind of thing. But this is in pouring rain. It was called Boots on the Ground, and it was around the same time around, I think, I want to say 100 years. Yeah, that makes like 2018, around the 100-year anniversary of the end of the First World War. So it was very fitting, and they had a lovely World War tent and this kind of thing, and it was to really give people a real understanding of how your feet hurts wearing those shoes and things like that. Anyway, so I just brought it down to film it, so I popped down and film it. And this route basically wound around its way around Salisbury, and you know, there would be different visual experiences, and the main two protagonists in this story would meet the group of passers-by that were wearing the headphones and have a dialogue backwards and forwards in these different scenes to push the story forward. Now, there was a couple of scenes where they would fight. There was a couple of scenes where they have more dramatic arguments, and so that was a really interesting thing for me to film personally. But something which I did not do, which I'd recommend everyone does, especially if they're not shooting on a weather-sealed camera, is to use a raincoat. Something like this, for example. This is a raincoat. Now, something which I personally do get annoyed by when shooting on a raincoat, it removes any touch sensitivity you have on your screen, on your camera. Also removes the visibility of that camera, and also I think I had to cut a hole in mine to allow me to have my microphone to come out through it, so I could still put my microphone on the top of the hot shoe mount on top of the camera here. But anyway, so I filmed for probably an hour, hour and a half, something along that, and we were in between the shows because they ran 3 shows a day, and I must have just finished the first show. Go into the tent, I sit down, I want to start reviewing some of the footage to see what I need to capture moving forward into the second show that I believe the rain actually got heavier. So they actually decided to do the show with all the people inside the tent on the second time around, from what I saw of the images anyway, because I ran home panicking that I just bricked my camera. So I remember very, very clearly, I'm sat in the tent going in to review my footage, flipping my camera between the playback view and the live view, so it flips up the mirror so I can see what the sensor sees and reads that data off, just to what very, very similar to what I showed you. And suddenly the camera screen goes black, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not good. And before that, there was this kind of hiss, or like kind of short look, or shorting look on the screen. So I was like, that's not good, right? So fast forward to me coming home and being like, right, okay. I jump onto Facebook, I type help in a lot of camera groups, and basically the advice that I was given was get a bag of rice, and what you do, I can actually show you on this camera, is you want to take off the lens. And now this is not necessarily going to expose your sensor because there is a mirror in the way, as you can see here. You then also want to take out any memory cards that may be in there. So the memory card slot specifically is empty. You're going to leave as many of these panels open as possible. You also, of course, want to instantly take out any power source, such as a battery, for example, because you want to basically try to get any residual power that's left in here as a out of that camera, and open it up as much as possible to air out those components. So as you can see here, this is what the camera looks like at the moment. You have all of the different components open. So that's what I left to have. And then I put that into a thing of rice for about a day and a half, and I got eager. And this is where the second time in our story, I could have killed my camera, because I got a little bit too overzealous, because I was really wanted to, well, firstly, I was stressed because I had this job to do, obviously, during the weekend. And at that time, I didn't have another camera, because I just, in another episode I'm happy to go over, I just broken my backup camera, which is behind me, which was my Nikon 5100 at the time. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you'd love to hear that story. I would love to tell it as well. But anyway, moving back to the Nikon 5600 for a moment. So I'm panicking a little bit. So I have to purchase what's now my second camera, which is a Nikon D5300 that as of the moment is working completely fine and is completely all good in that respect, and touch wood, it will continue to be functional in that respect as well. And anyway, so I had to pick up that camera as of the opening. It must have been the Saturday or the Sunday morning. It was between Sunday morning, the second camera, London Camera Exchange opened. I had to buy a brand new camera. I had to go down there with spare batteries and memory cards so I could finish the project that I was being hired to do. I don't think I was even being paid at that time, but I wanted to be able to film the festivities and everything for the rest of that liftoff weekend, so I could overly give over or give over more than the client actually asked for, because originally I was only asked to do a time lapse of the fireworks at the cathedral, but yes, so I got a little bit overzealous and I got a little bit trigger happy with my Nikon 5600, and I put a battery in, turned it on, and it came back to life, and I was like, yes, great, and then it stopped, and I was like, okay, great, might have killed it, but obviously I didn't in hindsight, and yeah, so moral of this story is, if you ever do water damage camera, what I then did is I have a box that's also behind me that's filled with those little moisture grabbing little cellophane packets, and I have a box full of them now. It's known as my safety box, or my emergency water damage box, and what will happen is whenever I have a water damage camera, that will go in there, and then I didn't touch it for, I think it was a good couple of weeks, a week and a half maybe, and something which you can always see if you have a water damage camera, and something that you can look to see if it's, you know, in any way close, because it will feel dry to the touch on the outside, and even on the inside will feel dry to the touch, but something which you may be able to see is there any moisture or condensation inside the eyepiece, specifically when you look into it or when you look at the eyepiece itself as well. So yeah, just make sure to look. If there isn't any, then you might be all right, but also gauge kind of roughly how long have you left it either in rice or something like that. Now, the reason why rice is because it's going to take that moisture and it's going to try and absorb that moisture. By no means does it mean your camera's going to survive, but this is the best chance that your camera will have to survive. So yeah, that was the time when I nearly, well, the first time I water damaged my camera. Now, there has been a couple of other times, but they are by no means as dramatic and by no means as you know, large in the respect to big deals, especially as that was my first camera experience very early on in my career, and a very worrying couple of days, and a very worrying time, because I was like, oh, I don't actually know, but now I sort of know where the issues are going to be and where the issues are going to lie, and if there is a demand for it, let me know in the comments section down below if you'd like me to do a full video talking about shooting in heavy rain, shooting in water. Now, salt water, completely separate conversation. I'd recommend you be very careful with salt water, because that is very likely to completely destroy your gear if it gets anywhere near your body, your lenses, or anything of that nature. So be extremely careful if you're going anywhere near an ocean or etc. Regarding salt water. But if you would like me to do a brief video talking about some of the things I've found are best practices when shooting or just coming off a shoot, especially if you need your gear the following day, have another story there where it was a little bit difficult. That was earlier on last year when I just shot in heavy rain, and this lens that you're actually viewing on right now fogged up just when I got to a client, and how I actually went about dealing with that. So I've got plenty of stories, I've got plenty of things that we can talk about, and plenty of things I could add into this series. If you guys would love to hear it, let me know in the comment section down below. If there's a demand for it, as I say, I will do more. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to wrap it up there, because that is the story for this week. But I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this little episode or this little series, let me show it with a like. I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. And if you would like to see more, feel free to let me know. And if you're brand new to the channel and this is the first video you're stumbling upon, then let me know. Then make sure to be subscribed to the channel, because a large percentage of you actually have not subscribed to the channel. I think it's about 80% or so from my analytics at the moment. But also, with the time of filming, thank you very much those who are joining the channel and the momentum we're starting to gain on the channel as well. I'm really enjoying to be on YouTube and taking it more seriously, or more seriously than I have done in the past. And I will hopefully be able to continue this, especially as I may get busier when it comes to client work as well. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next week for a new video. Not sure what that video is going to be, because I'm not sure how I'm going to do scheduling with these, but thank you guys very much for watching, and I would be happy, I think in the next episode we're going to talk about how I broke and cracked my body of my Nikon 5100. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.